Hey Tappers. Today we're going to talk about one of the most vague and sticky and pervasive topics that I come across all the time when I'm assisting people with EFT, and it is perfectionism. Now, if you're thinking, I don't think I'm afflicted by that, hold on, because there are a lot of different ways that this can show up in your life, and maybe we're going to talk about it right now in a way that you haven't considered it yet. Another way of saying, I need everything to be perfect is to say, I'm not good enough. So if you're not used to coming at it from the angle of, oh yes, it has to be exactly perfect, do you experience, well, it's not good enough. I'm not good enough. That's not good enough. Let's talk about why this happens. A lot of times the angle at which perfectionism is approached, which is not incorrect, is that everything has to be just so, that there's a lot of focus and concentration on the need for the outcome to be something specific. What I want to focus on and share with you today is actually the process of why it's involved at all. When we have a need to be perfect, there's some place where that came from, because that's not innate in human beings and it's not innate in everyone. In fact, I bet if you were to list the people that you look up to, musicians, artists, leaders, educators, scientists, you may or may not have even considered, but are they perfect? Yet you hold yourself to a different standard. Why? And that why is super duper important, because that is why this is so sticky. You can shift the outcome of the place of where you are with perfectionism. You can tap to accept, oh, well, I guess I really don't need to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. But it still doesn't feel good in your body. And that's because you're focusing on a branch and not the root of the issue. So then we need to ask questions about why perfectionism is a roadmap for getting somewhere. Is it because someone once taught me that that's just the way to do it, and therefore my subconscious brain has ingrained that as that's my template, and I need to switch the template? Is it because I have a belief that that is the safe way to either approach or resist something else, such as, it's not okay for me to be big. It's not okay for me to shine. It's not okay for me to do a better job than anybody else. It's not okay for me to be really good at things that other people struggle in. If I'm really good at this, people are going to mock me and be mean to me. If I'm really good at this, it's going to hurt somebody else. I can almost guarantee you there are some beliefs attached to this that are not logical. And that's because it's something that was attached when you were younger, or during a really overwhelming circumstance when the decision that was made about that was heavily skewed in the moment, or a combination of both. So if you're wanting to really root out the reasons and the causes of how this is so pervasive in what you're doing and how to release it, then you need a better roadmap and a better picture than what you're currently operating with. What I love most to use for this is a bubble graph. Now, if you've never made a bubble graph before, let me show you what it is. I love bubble graphing because it's so much like how the neurons in our brain are laid out. And it's something where you're not looking to negate things or say, I'm not sure that applies, or that doesn't go in the direction that I want it to. Everything makes it on the bubble board. Let's check it out. So you start with a circle in the middle, and you put in this circle what the biggest thing is that you are aware of at this time. Now, you may find something else bigger. We're just going to go with what we have at this time. So you can write perfectionism, I'm not enough. Put a circle around it. Now we're going to draw lines, and we're going to say, what is it that pops into my mind when I think about perfectionism, or when I think about I'm not good enough? And just start writing down thoughts. And they can be random. It could be the color orange, my friend Marcy in second grade, the time I failed the spelling bee in kindergarten. It can be specific events, specific people, specific places, or it can be something really vague. Knots in the bottom of my stomach, pain at the back of my neck, shame on my forehead. Every single thing that pops into your mind, find a way to write it down. Now, you may have a thought and you're like, oh, it's not connected to this. Then you draw another branch. And on that one, you write everything that you feel is connected to that. And you want to exhaust every single branch. Now, if you start running out of room, don't feel like, oh no, I have to make this 200 bubbles bigger. You can stop at any point when you feel like you've got some really good ground covered and you've found some moments where you're going, oh my gosh, oh wow, aha. Then that's enough for you to get started on. And you can always repeat this process later once you've started releasing some of these other things. Now, once you have your bubbles, you're gonna go back and get a SUD score for each one. SUD stands for SUD, Subjective Units of Distress. It's the same thing you go into the doctor's office, the 0 to 10 scale, 0, no pain at all, 10, as much pain as you possibly can imagine. And some people do it the reverse way of 0, I don't feel good at all about this, 10, I feel fantastic. So it's up to you and your interpretation of the scale. Just make sure that you're clear on what way you're using it, because you're going to be the one checking back in on it after you tap. Once you have a SUD score for every single bubble, then just choose one. As you can see, they're all connected. You put your finger down on any one of these bubbles, and without lifting your finger off the page, trace to any other bubble here. It's a great example for how the neurons in your brain are mapped out too. So it doesn't matter where you start. Start with something that feels easier, or start with something that feels bigger and you want to get it out of the way. Great. Follow whatever you are feeling. Remember, our feelings are signals from the subconscious brain, and they're not always signaling we need to be careful, we need to be warned, we need to get away from this. Sometimes it's a signal of the brain saying, we really want this out of the way, and I'm trying to point it to you so that you can get rid of it. I hope this helps. Let me know if you have questions. If you want to tap together on something in a video, let me know. You can also always bring it to the live tap that we do every single Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. If you want to sign up for reminders, go to EFTuniverse.com, and it's at the little banner across the top. I'll see you soon.